And now to your health. As our kids are entering the last few weeks of the school year, our attention is focusing on summer break. And this morning, we're getting a professional's perspective into how we can feed them healthy meals and snacks. Dr. David Persse with the City of Houston joining me this morning. Good morning, Dr. Persse.
Haley.
So what do parents need to think about when it comes to healthy meals for their kids, especially as they're moving into the time of year where they're going to be home all the time?
Yeah, so, good nutrition is really important for young kids as their, minds and their bodies are developing. And so this is a real challenge for parents sometimes. And, one of the things that we can use as a guide, the federal government provides, breakfast and lunch for kids in schools across America. They've been doing it for decades. One of the problems that we've seen in America is this rise of obesity in all ages, right? But in particular, with the school-age kids, we worry about that because that sort of sets the trajectory for the rest of their lives. So the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010 was implemented with a change in the nutritional standards for all these school meals with an idea that we might, reduce obesity among kids. Now, unfortunately, amongst all kids, it hasn't shown that. But if we look at the kids who live under the federal poverty level, there has been a significant reduction in obesity amongst those kids. Every single year it's gone down, such that now, had it not been for those standards, there would be 47% more obesity amongst kids who live under the poverty level. So what that means is parents can use the school menus as a good template to use as they plan meals across the summer. It's really effective, and it's right there. It should be easily available to you. So it's a great template to start from.
Okay, that's a great point. Yeah, using your own school menu. But what are the simple guidelines that parents should be following anyway? I mean, I know kids need a different type of nutrition plan than adults.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that. So it's really not that terribly complicated. Make half of the meals fruits and vegetables. And when we're talking about fruits, parents, try to use the whole fruits, right? You don't have to peel the apple. There's a lot of great vitamins in the skin of the apple. So wash them real good, but use whole fruits. With the vegetables, you can, if you cook them, if you're going to boil them, you should only, cook them lightly because you lose a lot of vitamins in the water that winds up being washed out. If you want to heat them, some other way, that's fine, but just be careful about it. And always make sure that with your fruits and your vegetables, you wash them really, really well because they come from a farm and they're grown in the dirt, right? And so there's pesticides and things like that. So you want to make sure you always clean the vegetables first. So that's half the meal. The next quarter should be whole grains. And there's lots of great sources of whole grains available in the market. You can get whole grain breads, you can get whole grain tortillas, rolls, but make sure it's whole grain, not just the processed white bread, all right? So you want to use that. And then the last quarter is for proteins. So the proteins can use like lean cuts of beef, chicken, turkey. Seafood is great about once a week. And with seafood, you got a lot of good choices. You got tilapia, salmon, tuna, shrimp, right? Now, when you're preparing the meats, you want to consider either broiling them or roasting them instead of frying them in a pan full of fat, because that fat can be a problem. And then lastly, of course, they want something to drink, right? So try to use a low-fat or fat-free dairy milk, soy milk, or a nut milk. Those are good. Plain water is still a great choice, right? The one thing I would avoid, though, is the sugary drinks. Yeah. Those cans, they come in the bottles. They're so easy. They're so convenient. They're so pervasive, but they've got a lot of sugar in them. And so do the sports drinks. So watch out for those, too. Remember, sports drinks are for people out there just burning calories like crazy. So there's a lot of sugar in those, too. And so there's extra sugars that we really don't need.
Yeah, sodas and sports drinks, pretty much grown-up drinks, except for maybe a special occasion. But what about snacks? Because I know at least my kids, they're snacking all day long.
Well, that is true. And again, there's lots of good choices here. So popcorn, nuts, the small fruits, grapes, strawberries, yogurt, cottage cheese, whole grain crackers. There's all kinds of great choices. Now, the one thing I always worry about I want to make sure with kids is that, or with parents, is make sure that we're talking about school-age kids. So in my other role in emergency medicine, I've had way too many tragedies involving grapes and kids who are too small. So make sure your child is old enough to eat whatever snack it is that you're going to give them. But here's the other thing. You can get really creative. So I saw a recipe recently. It just struck me. It's so obvious. It's so easy. Banana splits, but instead of ice cream, you use yogurt. You top it with some nuts. Yummy, tasty. Kids are going to love it. And you stay away from all that extra sugar you don't need.
Yeah, you can freeze the yogurt, too. And my kids really can't tell the difference. Especially because some yogurts are really sugary, too. What about foods that kids should be avoiding? You know, what comes to mind actually is recently we had these headlines about Lunchables, and I know Lunchables are super popular, but now they're saying there's chemicals in them that could be harmful to kids. Anything that comes to your mind about things that kids should be avoiding right now?
Well, it's nothing immediately comes to mind. There are better choices and there are like less good choices. And the reality is, and Lunchables is a great example. To think about Lunchables is for the parents, it's so convenient, right? It's like no preparation. It's already done for you. And there's so many things in the market today that are so tempting for parents because it's easy. Again, the sugary drinks, right? They're just so convenient. But parents really need to take a step back and think through what they're buying. So in the Lunchables, for example, those crackers, they're generally not whole grain crackers. The meats, that's a processed meat. So there's lots of salt in there. There's other things about what they preserve it with. The problem is that those things, those not so great choices, are so incredibly convenient for busy parents. And so the burden on parents is to take a step back and really think through what it is that I'm going to prepare for my kids. And I'm going to have to go that extra yard. In today's world, yeah, you're going to have to put a little bit more thought into it and effort into it.
Good point. Dr. David Persse, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that rundown of healthy foods for our kids. We appreciate your time this morning.
Absolutely, Hallie.